Hi, everybody. Leo Babauta from Zen Habits here. Glad to be here with you. Hope you're having an amazing day. Today, we're going to talk about beginning again, which is really important for habit change, for productivity, for long term projects, really for anything in our lives. Beginning again is so key. But we're going to talk about a specific aspect of beginning again, which is forgiving yourself. Such an overlooked but really important part of really doing anything important that you want to like keep coming back to, that you want to like stay consistent with, that you want to like push through barriers and hurdles. We need to keep coming back and beginning again. But in order to do that, we need to be able to forgive ourselves. This is a really hard thing to do. I've talked to so many people who struggle with this. And so we're going to talk about how to do that. Before we talk about the how, let's talk about the why. So we're going to talk about beginning again, why that's so important. And then we're going to talk about why forgiving yourself is crucial. And then we'll talk about how to do that. So beginning again, this could be, let's say, a habit. A lot of times we start a habit like, let's say, meditating or journaling or, exercise. And we think, I'm going to set up this habit and I'm going to just keep going. Set it and forget it, right? But that's not how habits work. They don't just go on autopilot for the rest of our lives. They get disrupted, is how habits work. I've been working with my own habits and with thousands of people changing their habits for decades now. And it is always the case that you start a habit and hopefully you get a little bit consistent with that, and it gets easier as you do so, but there will always be a disruption, and then you have to come back, and then another disruption, and then you have to come back. So let's say I'm a runner and I want to like start running. So I start running and I get that going, and a week and a half into it, I got busy, or there was something going on in my life, or I got sick, something happened, and then I'm like, crap. All you had to do is start again the next day. It's really not that complicated, but we add a lot of baggage to it. And so when we stop and we're like, there's something sucky about me. Um, so, but if we could just begin again, that habit would just go back on track. And then let's say the next time that happens, begin again, get back on track. And so we get off track, on track, off track, on track. And this just happens over and over again. And this is how habits work in our lives. And it's not just with habits, it's with projects. Let's say I want to write a book or like create a podcast or whatever it is that I want to do, build a house. There's going to be times when things fall off track. I get disrupted. Let's say I get sick, I get injured, I get whatever. I get visitors, I have to travel. Like things will happen that disrupt it. One of the most important habit skills is just starting again. Start with the very next step. Very simple. Just start again. So it's important for everything that we do. But what if there's something that gets in the way of that? And there's actually one thing that gets in the way for pretty much everybody, and it's shame. It's embarrassment. It's discouragement. It's all of the things that we think that failure meant about us. I didn't do the running plan like I was planning to this week. Ugh, I did it again. What's wrong with me? Why do I keep doing this? And there's a sense of inadequacy, disappointment with myself, a sense that I haven't done good enough, and therefore I have some shame about it. And when we have shame, we don't want to look at something. It becomes really loaded with this, ugh. And so then we just want to turn away from it, and it gets put into the corner and we don't look at it. And therefore that shame has power over us because we're unwilling to look at it or work with the thing giving us shame. If I can just get back on the track with my running or with my writing or with any project that I have, then no problem. But as long as I have shame about it and the shame makes me want to not look at it, then I'm just not going to think about running. It's just like, ugh, I don't want to think about running. Forget it. I don't want to do it. I'm going to go focus on something else. And then I'll get excited about the next thing. I'm going to do CrossFit. And then 2 weeks into it, can't do that. Shame. Forget about it. And it's going to keep ruling my life in this way. Shame has power over us if it makes us unwilling to look at something. Shame is a natural human emotion, but what if we could just let go of that shame? And that's where the next piece comes in, not just starting again, but letting go of the shame and everything that we make the failure to mean about us. And for that, what we need is forgiveness. If we can't forgive ourselves for that failure, for falling off track, then we are, we'll never actually be able to get back on track because we're like, oh, there's something that sucks about me. And then we'll just stop looking at it. So what we need to do is forgive ourselves. Now, forgiveness is an act of generosity. It isn't an act of like you have to do something to deserve forgiveness. The other person or ourselves don't have to deserve forgiveness. We do it as an act of generosity so that we could let go, so that we could be free. So if we forgive someone else, even if we think, they don't deserve it, whatever that would mean, we forgive them because that lets us be free of whatever we're holding on to, our resentment, our anger, our frustration, our disappointment. We get to be free of that. We're being generous with them. They get to be free of our judgment and anger as well, which is nice for them, but it's even nicer for us because we're the ones actually carrying that around in our hearts for so long. Now, for forgiveness for ourselves, even if we think we don't deserve it, I don't deserve to be forgiven. I need to work harder and like prove that I deserve this forgiveness. No, holding that over our own heads of how sucky we are and all of the shame, it's hurting ourselves. We're carrying the burden of that. It's making us not want to look at something. And so forgiveness is an act of generosity for ourselves, where we ourselves benefit from it, and we get to be free. So that's why forgiveness is so important. Let's talk about the how. So how do we forgive? How? It's so hard because we think we don't deserve it, or we think holding this over my head, this shame, this criticism, this harshness will make me do better, but actually it doesn't. So what we need to do, first of all, is recognize that the shame that I'm feeling is not going to help me. It's only making me not want to look at this, making me not want to start again. And if I could let go of it, actually, I would be free. And this would be an incredible thing for me. I would be liberated from the shame and disappointment. And then what we need to do is just to say, okay, I failed and I feel really disappointed and ashamed, and just acknowledge that. And it sucks that I failed. And just let yourself feel all of the stuffs that you feel from failing. I didn't do the thing that I planned to, and I feel really disappointed, and it sucks, and why? Let yourself feel that for a minute or two. And then look at, like, how did that failure, why was that failure even necessary? Why was it okay? Why was it required for what you're doing here? And what I like to tell myself is, hey, when I fall on my face and have to get up, I learn something. I get stronger. It like trains me in something. I start to understand things better. This is how you learn to ride a bike. You fall down a couple of times and then you're like, oh, this is how it works, right? It's the same thing. How you learn to juggle, you've got to drop it, right? A bunch of times. And then you're like, oh, I got to do this. And then you figure it out. How you learn to do anything is by failing. And so failing is a part of the learning process. It's a part of any meaningful journey. And so when I failed last week, how do I incorporate that into my meaningful journey? How do I learn from it and see it as a necessary part? And also, how do I acknowledge my efforts? I really tried my best. I messed up, fine, but I also tried. Can I acknowledge that I did that? And so these are some of the elements of forgiveness. Recognize that it's not serving you. It's only weighing you down, stopping you from starting again. Recognize that it's a part of your meaningful journey, that it was required, that actually it really helps you. And then acknowledge yourself for actually, giving it your best shot. Even if you think you could have done better, it's like, hey, at least I put some effort into it. At least I did something there. And now I'm going to do some more, and I'm going to learn from that. I'm going to get better. This is how we forgive from these past things. Sometimes it takes more than that. We got to like journal about like all the crappy things, but then get to the place where you see that what you did was required for what you're doing. The falling off, the getting off track was required to learn how to get back on, and finish with a bit of love. Love for yourself is like, I really acknowledge every little thing that you have done, that you have tried, that you've showed up with courage, that it's not easy, that you're still trying here. And then just kind of give yourself some love. And as you do that, you're like, okay, now I'm free. I can start again. And that's the amazing thing. Whether you're falling off your habit, maybe you're not sticking to your eating plan, maybe you're not being as productive as you liked and you got distracted for a half a day or 2 days, let go of that and just get back on track. The more that you hold on to it, the more that you're just going to be off track. So forgive and get back on. Learn something from it for sure, but don't make it to mean anything bad about you. It's just a part of any meaningful, challenging journey. And that's the journey that you're on, is something challenging. It's not easy, and something meaningful. You're doing this for a reason. And, it's going to come with some falling off track, falling on your face, getting up, dusting yourself off, forgiving, and then starting again. Okay, my friends, let me know if you have any questions about this. Put it into the comments. Love to see your comments. Please subscribe if this was helpful, and like the video so that others can find it in their algorithms. And please subscribe so you can be a part of the Zen Habits community here on YouTube. Get more of these videos regularly. And share this with people who could use some forgiveness of themselves in their lives, some Zen habits in their lives. Thanks, my friends. I'll talk to you later.